Hello, friends. Hello. How are you today? Glad you are here, part of all that's happening. Hope you are well and good and whole today. A little mug up in the old Life is Good mug. All is well. How are you, friends? How are you today? Hey, good morning, Jamie. Good morning, Mr. B. Karen, good morning to you. Hope you're great. Good morning from Charlotte and you. Oh, so cute. So glad you're having that time. John, good morning to you. Glad you're here. Hope you're doing well. Good morning, everybody. We are coming into Thanksgiving week this week. Good times, good times. Yes, it is. Wait for see a few more folks coming in the live stream. We'll give them a chance and then we'll get going. So good morning, everybody. It is, we'll get this thing started. It is the 22nd day of November, this Thanksgiving week at 11:11 on this Tuesday, and I am glad that you're here. Glad that you are well. Good morning, Donna. Glad you're with us, and I hope that this day finds you well. It is because it's kind of a wild time right now. If today doesn't go well, it's because my prep time, I've been actually hitting the refresh button on my browser, trying to follow the Route de Rhum sailing race. One of the people I really like to follow, Pip Hare, is in a neck-and-neck battle with Roman Anastasio, who's another Open 6D captain. And this is a race all the way from France, all the way across the Atlantic to Guadeloupe. And they literally, it's what, through 2,000 some odd miles, and they are literally within 5 miles of each other, battling for the finish. So, they're within 25 miles of the finish. And so, I mean, it's an amazing piece of seamanship for all of them, and all of they're neck and neck right now for 10th and 11th. That's the big fight. Meanwhile, in our office, in the next office over, our administrative assistant has the World Cup open, because the World Cup has started this week, which is legitimately the largest sporting event on the planet. That, in fact, there is that whole countries right now are shut down. Mexico is actually playing right now, and so if you hear screeches from the other room, that is from Mexico, that you will know that that's why, because there's incredible things happening in the World Cup right now. All of these different sporting things that are happening around us are a part of our life. The Patriots just won the game within 26 seconds of the ending of the game this week. It's been it's an amazing time for sport around all this stuff. And the Bible has something to say about this, particularly the Apostle Paul. Paul references kind of the idea of the metaphor of sport in particularly running the race in the first letter to the church in Corinth. Now, again, I know I've said this a lot, but if you remember, context is everything with Paul. It's always fun, because it's funny to say, because Peter once said about Paul, that we have recorded, Peter and Paul. We have Peter being recorded saying, sometimes it's hard to know what the Apostle Paul is talking about. That even for Peter, Paul was sometimes confusing. And so if it's sometimes confusing for you, don't feel so bad. But he has this to say about what it is to run and to win the prize. And this is from the 9th chapter of the first letter to the church in Corinth. And again, remember, the church in Corinth, they've kind of gone off the rails. They've kind of split into factions. I know this never happens in any of your churches. There's people who feel like some people shouldn't be allowed to be there, and some people are following. They're kind of different teachers. Some are following different pastors. It's a mess, and he's trying to bring it all back together, and he's trying to bring and so this is again, when we read the First Corinthians, what we're reading is this counsel of how do we to these people who are kind of blowing up their church. And this is what he writes. He says, "Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. Everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. Therefore, I do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air. No, I strike a blow to my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified for the prize." Now, Paul is talking about this need for self-discipline. And he's using it in the context of this race. And if we look at any of our racers today, any of our folks that whether it's Pip Hare out there on the Atlantic and coming around the corner at Guadalupe, or whether it is the team of Mexico that's battling it out on the field, or maybe they're not battling it out well enough according to what Yvette is saying, that they or whether it is the Patriots in those last hours, that all that battling on the field happens is a result of the discipline in which they've submitted themselves to. There's probably nothing more elemental to the spiritual life than our entry into the ideas of disciplining, both being disciplined by the world around us, and what that really is kind of the feedback loop of creation. If you go through the world being mean all the time, you're going to discover that that the world becomes mean back, and because often what we're putting into the world is often what we'll find in the world itself. But even more so, it's about the things that we permit to grow, that we give energy to, rather than the things that we restrain ourselves from. Again and again and again, the invitation in our lives is not to add more things. This is from the great Teilhard de Chardin. He often talks about the fact that what's really key in the spiritual life is not adding more things. It's not like we need to add another prayer discipline, or we need to add another thing, or even add more things to our being, or more things to our more courage, more stuff. But actually, what the spiritual life is really about is about the life of restraint, about the life of removing things. About removing things from our life. And as we remove them, what actually is unveiled is who and what we are, and the very best of what we are. And it's true for every athlete that they can kind of remove some things from their life that are taking them away from the craft of becoming a great athlete. That there's more often the things that are a part of our lives, and both are a part of our soul, are really things that God needs to lift from us. And that really our discipline is more about creating a space for God to be able to remove the difficult things of our being and our heart. That spiritual discipline looks less like kind of getting in the gym and knocking it out, as opposed to creating a space within us that allows God to pull those things that we can't get purchase on ourselves off from us and out from us. All runners run, but only one gets the prize. Again, we have to remember where Paul's coming from, because he's contending with a church that is trying to blow itself up on a whole bunch of different levels. And he's pointing to them this notion and there's already this competitive streak within them. And so he's speaking to them to use this in such a way, to invite them to such a way to focus themselves on the upward way. When Eisenhower, unbeknownst to a lot of people, had an amazing temper. Like, when I say amazing, like, it's an epic temper. Like, he would lose his temper and go into massive rage fits. But one of the things he would do is he was always and ever conscious of how he would how he negotiated that. And he had all these little tools that he would use in order to negotiate it, in order to restrain himself as the head general in World War II that has to negotiate all of the different personalities from all of the different countries that are trying to fight the war, who had to be the ultimate in diplomacy. That had to deal with a Patton, to a Bradley, to a Montgomery, and to all of the Allied forces. And in the middle of it, and he would get so angry, and he would literally, he'd have a drawer in his desk that he would write letters and tear them up and he would throw them into the drawer. That he would have this place that he would unleash his destruction in a particular way, just so that he could get it out of himself and get rid of his frustration. Because if he took it out on his generals, if he took it out on the people around him, if he lived into the people around him, it would destroy everything that he was a part of. That there's a million different ways for us to discipline ourselves in the way in which we are created. But the invitation to discipline is the invitation to run the race. It's the invitation to get on the field and to be in the contest. It's the invitation to round the mark and win the prize. The spiritual life isn't a competition with anyone but ourselves. But there are parts of ourselves that God wants us to win, that God wants us to overcome, that God wants us to lean into, and let Him remove them for us. But it's us that have to create the conditions. It's us that have to lace up our shoes and get on the track. It's we who have to set sail in our boat. It's we who have to get on the field and play. My hope for all of you today, and my hope on this incredible week of sport, and oh, by the way, it's Thanksgiving, a couple days, everybody's going to be rubbing their belly watching football, in all of this contest, to remember the greatest contest. That those things that we would fight with in our own souls, that would stand in the way of us being able to receive God's grace for us. And that those barriers that need to be removed, those obstacles that need to be picked up, those ways in which we can take those things that would destroy the beauty and the work of our life, and maybe just put them in just tear them up and put them in a drawer for a while and see what God can do with it. It is not that we're going to win and we're going to win the fight. It's that we're going to get in the fight, and that in doing so have the power of Christ with us to overcome all the contests that will encounter us, to remove the obstacles, to mend the broken, to tend the wounds, to hold the grief, that we might truly be inheritors of the crown, and running not aimlessly, but truly and good and whole in this world, so that we might one day wear the crown. All right, friends, that's my hope for you today. I'm going to go back and check on Pip Hare and see how she's doing in her race, and I'm going to see if Yvette's kind of stroked out up there in the other office and watching the World Cup. Friends, tonight we have our Thanksgiving service here, 7:00. 282 Rock Street. I hope you'll be a part of our service. We have some incredible music on tap. We have Jamie Spriggs from First Baptist Church right down the street is going to be preaching. There is some beautiful prayers and litany with a number of our Episcopalian brothers and sisters that will be here. They're always fun. They kind of class up the joint. It's going to be a great service. So if you're at all in the area, it will be live streamed. So if you want to come back at 7:00 on the live stream, it will be right here to be able to watch the service if you're at a distance. But also, if you would like to be here, would love to have you. There's pie afterwards. Because not only is it the season of sport, but it's the season of pie. So anyway, friends. We'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11. Peace and grace, and run your race well today. We'll see you tomorrow, or maybe tonight.